link in a few minutes. Let's see if it's working. All right, looks like it is. So actually, for those of you who also missed the last few workshops, they're all recorded, or like the majority of them are recorded on YouTube here. So I'll throw the channel link in chat, and if you guys want to take a look, I believe it was about around 5 workshops that we did previously. 4 of them are recorded. So it was Tycho, Zetachain, Biconomy, and Alchemy. So pretty good stuff on that side. This is kind of a continuation in some sense of that that workshop marathon, but this is going to be kind of on a different topic. We're going to kind of still go through this idea of building next generation applications that leverage kind of infrastructure made to like allow you as a developer to build applications that feel kind of cohesive and natural for users. So as I'll pull up Covalent's DevRel here in a second, but as we'll go through, basically, with GoldRush, with what Covalent is building in that sense, it makes it like easy to the point where like it's just a few lines of code to basically take a user from having no wallet to going through social login or connecting with MetaMask or something like that, and then immediately now being like within an application that showcases detailed, rich information about their wallet and like their assets and a million different other things that we'll get into here in a moment. But I'm going to give it about 1 more minute, and then I will pull up Covalent, and we'll start from there. And in about, I would probably say 15-20 minutes, I'll be pulling the names of those of you that are in here with the verified developer role, as a quick heads up on that. But I think what we should be good to go for now is to pull up Covalent. 1 second, let me make sure everything's good to go. All right, so I see, let me quickly give you some permission here. I gotta go through and always add some permissions to this role. And then you should be able to pop up here. All right. There we go. So looks like the hand is raised. Let's see. All right, let's see if it'll let you hop in here. I think it should give you permission. I invited you, so feel free to accept that. Make sure that the recording is working. Looks like it's working well. Let's see, and here in the chat, and of course with these sessions, while we're still kind of getting started, if anybody has any questions, whether it's about Particle or Covalent or even Ally and the Launchpad, stuff like that, feel free to throw any questions in the chat. I'm always happy to answer. Let's see, it says, please clear all FAQs for this chat or for our Ally FAQ channel. We are going to be redoing the FAQ channel pretty soon. I think it's a little bit outdated, but any backend developer role available. At Particle, not currently, but I think we usually post jobs in some place. I can try to find that link and send it over. Right now, we're a pretty small team of like 30 people in total, I believe. And like 10 of those are core team members, so we're relatively tight-knit at the moment, but I'm sure we'll be kind of expanding on the developer side quite soon. Let's see. I think it should be letting you pop up here. Feel free to shoot me a Telegram message if it's not letting you hop in, but you should have permission to head up here. Let's see. So the drill here regarding the, I notice everywhere people asking about Merlin chain BTC withdrawal. That's a really good question. We get this question a lot, and when can you withdraw BTC? When can you kind of use the bridge on Merlin? And it's definitely a valid question. And that first of all, like, we are pretty disconnected from Merlin and the bridge side of things. I believe they support Particle, at least on the BTC Connect side. But last I heard from them. It just says I can leave the stage. Okay, gotcha. Maybe you can disconnect and retry and then hop back in and see if that would work. Oh, I think you're up here. Can you hear me?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, yeah, sounds good. Is everything working on your end? Hello, hello? think I might be having some audio issues. Give him a second there to connect. But to answer your question in the chat, yeah, so the BTC withdrawal, I believe it's about 2 weeks, because Merlin just launched like the official chain. So I think they're planning on doing a withdrawal, like actually unlocking withdrawals of BTC to like native Bitcoin, I think in around 2 weeks, last I heard. And then also for the claiming side of it, they're going to be distributing their token in also, I believe, maybe March, so 2 or 3 weeks or so. So Merlin as like a blockchain is still kind of spinning everything up. So that's why like withdrawals are a little bit funky right now, and there's not really a lot of functionality there, but it will be quite soon. There's still a lot of things that they're kind of finalizing. I believe they're doing some audits and whatnot. So we should be good to go on that front pretty soon. Let's see. Can you hear us now? Hello, hello. Let's see. Discord is a little bit buggy. We always have some issues getting people up here. I believe that for the first few workshops that we did during the workshop marathon, I had to give everybody admin perms to get them up here. To check the audio device. Can hear you. Cool. I think his speakers are
okay.
out.
You can hear me okay?
Yep. Can you hear us? Hello, hello. I think it's just his speakers. His microphone sounds pretty good though.
We'll check here.
Good morning, Deal, GM. Hello, Freehill. Hello, Rodri. Appreciate you guys hopping in here. This is, I believe, the 6th workshop that we're running on this Discord. We do them pretty infrequently. We did like 1 week, I think it was around 2 weeks ago, where we did like 5 workshops in a row. It was like 2 workshops one day, then 2 the other day, then 2 the next day. But this is our 6th workshops. This is the next the next evolution in the series, and we're probably going to be doing kind of similar things to this, one-off workshops every now and then, once a month, twice a month, stuff like that. There are some people using your name and trying to spam the community. Your moderator should ban all. Yes, we're definitely aware of that. It's a kind of constantly evolving battle for us, trying to ban everybody that kind of copies our names and tries to message people. It's a little bit difficult sometimes, just because there's so many of them. But can you hear us now? Is your speakers working? I think he's still getting connected there. We can hear him, but I don't think he can hear me. So we'll give that 1 second to calibrate. It's usually just like a Discord settings issue. Hello, is it? Let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. How do I pronounce your name? Is it Vuz? How do I say it? I remember talking to you in the ticket the other day. Excited to learn GoldRush Kit. Yep, yeah, we're super excited for that. It's like we actually just did the like this official GitHub repository demo that I think it's live now, if I'm correct. But if you want, I'll send this link in here in chat. We also now have this, of course, we released our new documentation pretty recently. But we have this pretty long form tutorial about GoldRush Kit, if you're curious. Where basically the goal here is to kind of, like I mentioned a moment ago, create this application where a user can onboard with their either social login or their Web3 wallet, and then have this like interface that showcases, their balances on every chain and kind of the change in balance and whatnot. So you can kind of see your entire portfolio in one place using a React component that can basically be, implemented in like 4 or 5 lines of code. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. Can you hear us now? I'll check one more time real quick. Open settings on the bottom left. You should be able to choose speaker device. Cool. Used Covalent yesterday. Yeah, Covalent's awesome. It's back when I was at my previous organization, I remember I made this big SDK for Covalent, and it was like I think it wrapped almost every API method that they had at that time to like kind of like have it. I believe it was a JavaScript. I might have done some sort of Python SDK as well. But it was really interesting. I've always been a big fan of their API, and it's my go-to whenever I need that kind of data. Like at Particle, we have kind of like a data API-ish, but I believe we actually aggregate calls from Covalent as well as a few others, if I'm correct. And of course, like our own like wallet interface uses a few different providers, I believe, including Covalent. This Particle Connect plus GoldRush enable token and NFT transfers. So you can transfer tokens and NFTs through like the Particle wallet interface. GoldRush is mostly front end, like read only components. So basically things that tell you information. But it would be very easy to like using the interface that it creates for you to implement buttons or kind of components that are like added on like modularly to the front end components that can facilitate transfers and kind of more write commands, I guess, rather than read only. They provide API of assets, and as developer we can view and view it to end user in your application like that. Yep, yeah, exactly. So basically the API that Covalent provides is like, it's a million endpoints at this point. I think they have like 65 chains, or probably more chains than we do even. But you can like go into their API and you can retrieve like pretty rich data from every facet of Web3 you can imagine. Because like JSON RPC or like typical RPC nodes that you might be familiar with working with are quite limited, because like the node software with EVM is, it's meant for very basic and kind of rudimentary data retrieval. So for example, if I want to like get the last 1 month of data for my address on Linea or something like that, right? That could be quite difficult with like normal nodes. You'd have to go through and like index blocks and just continually index back. So with Covalent, you can basically get that data in like one call, which is really cool, and I've always been a pretty big fan of it. So let's see. Can you? We can see you. Can you hear us now? I think still having some audio issues. Let's send another quick DM. What's going on? I can't seem to hear you. If you test your microphone. Oh. Hello. Still no audio. Phone settings. It'll play it back to your device. Does that work? Yes. Give it a little bit more troubleshooting here. I sent him a quick message. Discord is definitely a good platform, but for stuff like this, it can be a little bit difficult sometimes to work with. That worked just fine. You guys in the chat can hear me, right? I've been having in ZetaChain, glad hearing Particle over there too. Yeah, ZetaChain is our big is one of our like larger partners. We've done a few things with them. Of course, we had them on our last workshop marathon. We had their head of DevRel over here to talk about the creation of omnichain contracts. Because basically, for some context, like with these workshops that we've been doing, the kind of general theme and idea has been like the process of building applications that have the capacity to like serve this idea of like the next few million users or the next billion users. It's like the typical term, right? So like, how do you do that, right? There's a lot of problems in blockchain infrastructure that like totally blocks that ever from happening from real consumers getting into Web3. It starts at like the very base level. So like the wallet and onboarding level, this is like something that's been pretty difficult for quite a long time. Where like, previously before things like social logins, if you wanted to integrate or like get people into your application, you integrate like a standard wallet connection modal, you get people on through MetaMask, they have to go generate their seed phrase, they have to write it down. The responsibility of securing that is on them. And then they have to keep that secure, interact with the application. There's like signatures everywhere, and it's just like, it's not, built for this kind of general mass consumer audience that we think, or that we want ultimately. And then now you have things like social logins, which allow you to do that same level of onboarding, but now with accounts that people are familiar with. So Google, Twitter, email, stuff like that. But that's just one part of it, right? Once you get people into Web3, then now you have this big problem of like, well, how do you actually get people to start interacting with Web3 and build applications or use applications, which is a much more complicated kind of issue, because now you get into the issue of like transactions themselves are pretty difficult. I can hear you okay though. Yep. Sounds good on my end. So maybe we can just do this with him chatting, and then I'll just kind of be quiet for the duration of this session. But yeah, anyways, what I was saying is it's basically a collection of infrastructure, starting at the wallet level, going all the way down to like the data level, and then heading up to blockchain infrastructure. So then you have things like ZetaChain and like omnichain contracts and multi-chain interoperability, which can further abstract away complexity. And like we're even working on the idea of intents, which can abstract away transactional complexity, and it can get really like detailed on that. But the idea is that hopefully like within the next 2 or 3 years, what we'll see is a sort of paradigm shift from our current very complicated, even though the onboarding is pretty easy, it's complex. It takes a long time to start to learn and interact with Web3. So ideally, we'll be able to get users into Web3 and have them start using applications in just a few minutes, and like it'll feel either equivalent or easier than Web2. this is the goal, and we're, I mean, of course, we're pretty far from that like right now, but I think over the next 12, 36 months, we'll be pretty close. I was just on a space earlier today, talking through that for the Bitcoin ecosystem, which is a whole different kind of monolith happening over there. But I think the way that we're going to do this, because he can't hear me, I'm going to stop talking in a moment, give him a chance to do some introductions, then kind of go through the workshop, and then I'll pop back in near the end, and we will kind of take things from there and kind of do some recaps and whatnot. So let me send a quick message. Free to start. I'll pop back in at the end. Cool. It's just the unfortunate friction of Discord sometimes. Let's see if he gets that message. Yeah, then we should be good to start.
Okay, this is going to be a little bit odd because I guess you can hear me, but I cannot hear you, which I have no idea what's going on. I've tried every setting I could possibly find, but maybe just give me a thumbs up, Tabasco, if you can hear me okay. Okay. All right, let's try this. I really apologize, guys. This is usually not how I do these workshops, but very much appreciate everybody and the particle network community. There's lots of really exciting things that you guys are doing, especially in your ecosystem, and just really appreciative of the opportunity to talk a little bit about how taking some of the tooling that Covalent's been building can work with various other tools that exist in the ecosystem, like the kits that Particle Network offers. So I think just the motivation, just to reiterate this, is there's a real big push around account abstraction, and within the context of that, things like embedded wallets, smart wallets, really is the vehicle to onboard the next billion users into the Web3 space. And so the goal for us at Covalent is, you may know us as like a data indexer and offering up data through an API, but really our focus is on empowering developers to be able to build with on-chain data as rapidly as possible. And I'm sure if you've built in the space trying to leverage on-chain data, you probably have a sense of some of the key challenges around being able to fetch the data at sort of a performant manner, being able to parse and transform that data into something that's actually quite useful, and just the volume of data that you might have to deal with depending on the ecosystem that you're working with. So all of these are major challenges that Covalent is trying to address. So we started with this concept of just a basic REST API. A developer is quite familiar with APIs. You can embed that in any framework programming language that you're familiar with. Pretty easy to get up and running with. And that was the first iteration of the product. And what we found was, well, okay, that works and applies to a certain set of developers, but what developers are looking for are other interfaces to be able to leverage the underlying on-chain data. And so we went out and we built out SDKs. And now we've built out another layer of abstraction, which is this GoldRush Kit that I'm going to talk a little bit more in a little bit more detail about, which is basically having these composable UI components that you can build into your existing project quite rapidly. And I'm going to show you something even more cooler than that. Is we've kind of built out this custom decoder for transaction events, and then you're going to be able to use this to create these completely custom and beautiful transaction views exactly as the way you want it. Um, so three items. We'll talk a little bit about what is GoldRush and how we've gone about building it. We'll talk a little bit about composability using GoldRush Kit and Particle Connect. And we'll talk a little bit about this next enhancement with the GoldRush decoder and this this customizable transaction view. So let's start with Kit, and I hope this works okay. So I'm just going to share this in the chat, and you can kind of follow along. So all the repos that I'm sharing, this is all open source, and so let's share my screen. I don't know if I can actually share a screen here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. this is the GoldRush Kit. Again, meant to be just building blocks of front-end components that you can add into your application relatively quickly. And the beauty of this is, it's completely customizable, but also that it is basically powered by the underlying Covalent databases. So you can effectively pull on-chain data from 200 plus chains that we index directly through these components. So we've got pretty easy to set up, nothing complicated here. Gives you a sense of how you implement this. What I'll point your attention to are two things. One are these templates, and we'll talk a little bit about these. So these are basically ready to go templates for various use cases. So we have wallet and portfolio trackers, we have NFT collections, or like Uniswap DEX analytics. And then you've got the corresponding link to those templates. And then if you actually run this locally, you can completely customize these components using the built-in Storybook framework that we've used to actually build this out. And so the steps are here, but let me show you what this looks like from the front end perspective of Storybook. So we actually used a framework called Atomic Design to build out these components. And Atomic Design by Brad Frost kind of walks through how you can build, scalable user interfaces. And so you start with this concept of, what are the most fundamental or atomic components that can be the building blocks of more complex interfaces. So that's basically what we've done here. So everything from just a very simple address presentation to the corresponding avatars that are used in other components to just how the token, for example, might be rendered, whether it's an individual token or it's a token that's part of a DEX. So that's this idea of just the fundamental building blocks of other user interfaces. So from there, we then take a look at some examples of molecules. So this, that shouldn't happen, but these are examples where, I'm actually not running this. That's why this is happening. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. I'm trying to fix my voice issues. I realized I wasn't actually running this. Okay, so npm run dev. Okay, this should work now. There we go. Okay. So this is an example of an account card. So again, you've got the avatar and then the display of the address and then just some key functions around copying and the QR code. We have a collection card. So this might be an NFT. We have an example of like a decoded transaction. Let's see here, gas card. So these are all just ready to use what we call molecules because they're still just, probably a small part of the UI that you are going to be building out. We've got things like the floor price or sales or volume of NFTs, and then we've got some DEX related molecules here. So things like the time series for these Uniswap type of DEXs. So you can use these molecules then to build some really interesting what we call organisms. So this is where you take the individual atoms, molecules, or even other organisms and combine them together to create sort of the beginning elements of templates, essentially, that you can populate with on-chain data. So if we take a look at, let's take a look at an NFT. So this would be an example of like the collection token list. And this is actually all dynamic here. So if you take a look at the bottom, you can specify any of those 200 chains that we support. You can pass in the collection address, and this will actually auto-populate with the data. So you can kind of test and iterate in sort of this live environment using Storybook, which is why it's really, really powerful. We have the NFT detail. So this would be, where you combine what you saw with those molecules around sales and floor price, some of the attributes. You can have multi-chain wallet lists. You can have the standard token balance list, for example, that you might want to integrate into a portfolio tracker or a wallet. And then we've been building out some more rich organisms that get fed into our templates. And one of them that I want to point out here is this idea of a transaction receipt. And this is going to be, I think, one that might be quite useful for many of you. So I'll talk about how we kind of render this, but we've basically built this decoder that I'm going to talk about in just a second. And you can pull in the data from that decoder into your transaction receipt. So this is an example of an NFT trade on OpenSea. And you can, again, completely customize what this look and feel is and brand it based on your application. So no longer is the user experience where you might have to go to some external service to be able to see things like normally you would go to a block explorer to see transactions or other piece of information. Here, you can create a completely bespoke experience where the elements of a block explorer look and feel like an extension of your project as opposed to a completely separate product. So that's the essence here that we're trying to enable developers to leverage when they're building their projects. And then this is just a list of the transactions. So again, you can kind of see the elements of what you might see in a block explorer, an FT gallery, and in this sort of structure where you've got the atoms, the molecules, organisms, we then combine them to build out the various templates. Okay, yeah, I'm just taking a look at those questions. The whole idea is again just to get developers to build rapidly. So you can picture this whether you're doing it in production grade or even for a hackathon. If you're actually just building something relatively quickly, these are ready to go components to pull into your application. And yes, you don't need to run any RPCs. I mean, you probably will if there's some sort of right element to your application, because you will need sort of that service. But in terms of just pulling and reading data for the purposes that we've talked about, this is all done through the data feed that we provide these components. Talk a little bit about those templates, and in particular, working and collaborating with Tabasco, we've been able to build out one that shows how you can compose the various kits that exist in the ecosystem to create compelling UIs. And so let me bring up this one here. Okay, so I'll also share this this link in Discord. I haven't even gotten to the cool part yet with the decoder. Wait till you might want to wait till the end to actually check that part out. I think that's going to be really cool. So here is an example where we've taken the GoldRush Kit and those front end components, and we've taken the Particle Connect tooling to basically allow a user to quickly add in either the social logins or the other wallet logins, and then feed into the portfolio or wallet tracker experience. And again, this is just a simple demo, but it kind of gives you a sense of how you can combine these together quite rapidly. So we've got the live template, which I'm going to show in just a second, and then there's also this one-click deploy. So you can actually deploy this very quickly, just add in the credentials that are listed below, both from the Covalent API and from the Particle dashboard, and you're basically off and running here. So let me just open up this template. And so you can see, so, oh, I am already logged in, so let me just log out. So this is what the interface looks like. Again, you might be familiar, recognize this. This is, again, Particle Connects kit. And so we can, connect with the various social methods or an existing wallet. So let me just pull in my existing MetaMask wallet. And now I've added this sort of explore wallet feature, which will then feed into the GoldRush components. And now with that wallet that was set up from the Particle Connect mechanism, I can now go in and use this as a wallet or portfolio tracker. I can pick a chain. So this is the first view where you can select the chain that this wallet is active on, and then I can actually see all the token balances associated with this wallet. I can see the underlying NFTs. And then we've actually got this little settings field here where you can kind of play around and see how you can, some basic style changes. But again, really it's just your imagination for how much you want to customize this. If you want to use it out of the box, ready to go, or if you want to customize it for your look and feel for your brand, you can absolutely do that. And then for each one of these, yeah, you can see some of the details. So that's the quick demo of how you can take, again, multiple kits that exist in the ecosystem, combine them to create something very rapidly. Like this is basically out of the box, ready to go if you're using it for your project or if you're going to use this as part of a hackathon project. Okay. So we talked a little bit about GoldRush and how it was built. We've talked a little bit about composability with both the GoldRush Kit and Particle Connect. And now I'm going to kind of talk you through this really exciting next piece here, which is our decoder. So I actually just wanted to show you this. So how everything fits together, and then we'll dive into the details. So we've got our GoldRush Kit, again, front-end components to do some of the most common things that you're trying to build out. And again, it's open source, so we want to see contributions and people building out more compelling, molecules or organisms that the community can utilize. The second piece is this GoldRush decoder. And what it effectively allows you to do is take any on-chain transaction log event and create your own customized transaction view or interpreter of this log event. So what we offer is the decoding of this transaction sort of natively, and you can get that through the various API endpoints that we have. But if you want to build your own sort of customized schema or response to a transaction event, you can do this using the decoder. And then what that allows you to do is basically feed that completely customized transaction view into your own front-end component. And so what does this actually look like? Let me share a couple links. First is the decoder itself. Okay. And I'm going to just walk you through really quickly what this decoder looks like. So that's the, nope. Is that you can take these raw event logs and structure them into whatever customized view that you would want to have for any given protocol. And again, we're not the protocol experts, so what we've done is we've kind of seeded this repository with some of the common ones. We've done like OpenSea collections. We've done some swaps using Paraswap. We've done the user op events for 4337 contract interactions. But again, you can kind of build a decoder for any protocol that you want. So what we're doing here is creating the decoder. There's a bit of config, and I'll kind of show you how that looks. You can then run this repo locally, and then you can use something like Postman to basically pass the network and the transaction hash that you want decoded, and that will give you a feel for what the response looks like that you can then pull into your front-end component. So let's have a quick look at that. I'm going to share my VS Code. does not like this. Okay, I can actually just do it directly from the browser then, that's fine. Let me just do that. That repo up directly into this VR code environment. And so what I want to direct you to is under, so you got some basic config there, but under services, decoder, protocols. So these are examples of protocols that we've just sort of bootstrapped this kit with. But again, you can contribute to it. There's a contributing.md that highlights the steps. But let's just take a look at Paraswap. So there is the ABIs that you add, and then there is the config, which is simply telling the system, the address that contract is deployed to, the name of the protocol, and then the network. And so we're going to kind of clean this up a little bit. If you've got the same contract deployed address for your protocol, then this could just be a list of networks that this address is available on. So that's basically your very simple config. And then the decoding is where it gets really interesting because, again, this is all completely customizable. So what we've done is we've taken the Paraswap protocol and the swapped v3 event across these two chains. And then here is where you basically take the structure of that log event and customize it to whatever response you want this to. And what's really powerful is because this is just JavaScript, it's just TypeScript, you can actually pull in other sources of data to create this response that maybe adds some additional context or metadata from completely different sources within the decoder itself. So it's really powerful in that sense that you can actually leverage other pieces of maybe off-chain data with this on-chain decoding. So here we basically provide you with a response that has some details about the protocol, just some general details, and then any tokens that were transacted, both the ERC20 and the if there was an NFT. This is Paraswap, so this is probably just going to be the ERC20 tokens. So once you've got this decoder, let's just take a look at. Again, you would run this repo locally, and then you actually could use something like Postman to make a call to the decoder, and then you'll see what the response looks like. So let me just see if I've got an example of this. I do. Okay, so here I'm just running Postman. So I'm going to make this call to my local host, and the parameters that I'm passing this are simply the network that I want to make this call, and then a particular transaction hash related to this type of log event. And so here's basically the response. So this is an account abstraction transaction. It tells me, the name of that protocol, and then these details are basically in the format or in the schema that I had created in the decoder. So I can get the gas cost, the gas used, the paymaster, the sender, and then a whole host of metadata associated with this transaction. So now, if I take this transaction hash and just copy it, what I can now do is actually go to my transaction receipt front end template and actually render this response in a front end component. So let's just take a quick look at that. Got separate screens where this is happening, which is why I have to keep stopping and starting. Let's go back to the transaction receipt. And this was on Matic. So let me pull up Matic, and this was the transaction hash. And so here we go. Here's the entry point user op, and it is now rendering the data that I had created through this decoder for a completely customized transaction view. And again, I can take this receipt, I can brand it any way I want, but imagine being able to have these beautifully designed receipts for any type of transaction for any particular protocol. That's where it gets really, really cool in terms of the opportunity here. So, I mean, that's the beauty of it. So I'm just going to pull up another one here, maybe an OpenSea transaction. So let's take a look. We've got, so we've decoded transfers for OpenSea. So this is on ETH mainnet. This is the transaction hash. Oh, did I copy that correctly? There it is. So here, OpenSea, this was a basic order that was fulfilled. That's the actual name of the event. Tells you how much was sent to. I guess the price feeds aren't coming in correctly, so we'll just get that fixed. But you can see that this is who it was sent to in terms of the distribution of all the payments. So, I mean, one of the things when you take a look at something like this on Etherscan, it's just, just list of transactions. And I think as developers, we're probably tuned to seeing this, but for somebody maybe wanting to see this from a nice front end, not to say that this is the way to do it, but this is just another example of how you could display this information that might be a little bit more intuitive and more in line with like what you would expect for like a transaction receipt. So yeah, so that's an OpenSea one. You can go and try some of the other decoders that we built and then go and view this through the transaction receipt interface. Okay. That's really all I wanted to cover. I know we're pretty close. I think we had sort of set about 45 minutes for this. Yeah, just taking a look at some of the comments here. Yeah, user op decoding is. I actually literally just got off the call with the Pimlico guys, and they were really excited to see how you can extend maybe the typical user op block explorer to something that has these really rich front end components and make it a lot more visual and intuitive. So very cool to see that. Cool. So yeah, maybe just to quickly summarize, it's been a pleasure collaborating with Tabasco. In fact, he's the one who actually wrote the initial guide and kind of used our components in the guide itself to kind of demonstrate a very quick way of having this composable element between our respective kits. So thank you, Tabasco, for doing that. And then what we've talked about is just some of the other enrichment that we're able to offer through this decoder that you can now create your completely customized transaction view for any log event that you would like. Cool. Any questions? How do we import one of these modules or these organisms? Okay, good question. So let me just go back. So if you're familiar with like, with React components, let me just share this this tab here. So this is in GoldRush Kit under source, and if we look at our components, so here are where all our organisms live. And so you can actually just pull the TypeScript code directly from here. But on the README, we actually also give you just a guide on how you would actually use this. So here's an example of adding a token balances list view, adding a token transfers list view, adding an address activity list view or NFT wallet. So these are all the various organisms that we would see in the Storybook framework now being applied here as just a simple code sample. And then if you could literally just take those templates that we've got linked to here, and then pull out the pieces that are of interest, or pull out the views that are of interest to you. They're all React components, very easy. There's always going to be a need for front end devs for just having that eye for making sure the design is excellent. But pair these kits with some of the GPT tools, and you very easily have all the key resources to build something, or at least prototype something very, very rapidly. Oh, and thanks to Basco for sharing that link.
Sounds good. I know he can't hear me, so maybe I can just I can kind of start here, and I just sent him a quick DM, so I'm not too sure if he got that. But that was super cool. So this is the intersection between GoldRush and Particle Connect is the link that I threw in the chat. Because like basically when you're building an application, like I mentioned earlier, there's kind of a few parts that go into it, of course. One part is the actual wallet connection piece. So like, how do you get a wallet loaded into the application? How do you start like doing, for example, in this case, like reading data off of an address? And GoldRush makes it really easy to basically take that initial wallet connection and actually like do something with it. So in this case, that means like pulling data, and within this tutorial specifically, it takes their wallet portfolio template, I believe, and it has like a normal wallet connection button, like I believe you showed on screen, and then loads the address. You can start using it directly within the application. And actually, if you click on that link and you go to the top part of the page, there's actually a live demo. So you can click on the connect button. If I'm correct, I think it should be loaded in there at that little like white space at the top of the page, and you can actually use a component and like try it out. It's just like a very simple implementation. I think in total it's 50 or 60 lines of code. Most of that is just configuration of Particle Connect. So like in total with GoldRush and with Particle, you can create like a full stack Web3 application with everything from connecting your wallet and writing data with Particle to reading data and kind of formatting all of it with Covalent and GoldRush. So there's a lot of really cool opportunity here. And I think for me, sometimes whenever I build applications with that kind of front end, this is a massive time saver. And of course, it's quite customizable too. I mean, you can change whatever you want about this. And I saw there was a question earlier: can you remove the powered by Covalent icon? I believe that's just for the demo itself. So the demo application that he showed, I believe that's the only place that has it. In the actual component itself, it's very kind of like modular and customizable. So it was a lot of fun to kind of work with that within this demo and collaborate with Covalent on this. So definitely, if anybody in here ends up building an application that uses both Particle and Covalent GoldRush for anything, let me know. I think it's a really cool intersection of kind of two, of course, separate, but of course, in some sense, intersecting technologies when it comes to different parts of the application stack. So really excited to see kind of what everybody does with it. And of course, this was, I believe, about 50 minutes or so. Appreciate everybody hopping in. Of course, this live stream is shared on YouTube. So I think I have the link in chat. I will throw it back at the bottom here. So this is recorded as soon as I end it. You can go and find this entire session on there to watch it back. I know that some people are having some issues seeing the screen, so that would be a good place to start. But other than that, thank you guys for hopping in. And of course, thank you to Covalent. There's a few team members that went into kind of helping us out put this together. And definitely let me know if you guys end up hopping in and building anything with us, and be happy to highlight it and kind of take a look at myself. But other than that, I think that is about it. And again, thank you guys for hopping in. For everybody in here that is a verified developer that wanted to make up for the last session that they missed, I took a screenshot. It's all snapshotted. So I will follow up in our verified dev channel after this regarding that. But beyond that, I think that is about it. We will close it out from there. Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.